everyone. Guns N' Roses. And yes, this is a band that I have read the name over and over and over and over in the comments ever since I began this channel. It's obviously a big one, very popular among rock lovers. And I'm about to sit down. Well, I am sitting down. I am about to listen to it for the very first time. Before I do, let me just remind you, you can always go to my Ko-fi and Patreon pages. You'll find all kinds of goodies there, which can never come publicly here on YouTube because of copyright issues. You like the Beatles? Check it out. And as well as early access to what is scheduled to come here on YouTube over time. Well, Guns N' Roses, November Rain. Guns N' Roses is an American hard rock band from Los Angeles, California, formed in March 1985 when local bands Hollywood Rose and LA Guns merged. Here I thought it was just a really colorful, evocative name somebody dreamed up. It still is evocative. Somehow the idea of Guns N' Roses, I can build a picture in my mind instantly with it. Don't know if it's accurate, but it puts something in my imagination. With their stylistic mix of punk rock, blues rock, and heavy metal, the band helped move mainstream rock away from the glam metal era of the mid-late 80s. In addition, they are credited with revitalizing power ballads in rock. I guess I've heard a couple power ballads along this journey so far. Is November Rain one? I don't know. In their early years, the band's hedonism and rebelliousness drew comparisons to the early Rolling Stones and earned them the nickname the most dangerous band in the world. Significant controversy followed the band due to late show starts and riots, notably the 1991 Riverport riot. I might have to look up what that was. Lyrics perceived as problematic, Rose's outspoken persona. Oh, Rose is a person. Okay. Several other members' drug and alcohol abuse issues, lawsuits, and public feuds with other artists. Sounds rather dramatic. Several members of the band are considered the best in their fields, with Rose considered one of the best vocalists, Slash as one of the best guitarists, and McKagan as one of the best bassists by various publications. Guns N' Roses were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2012. Guns N' Roses have sold more than 100 million records worldwide, including 45 million in the United States, making them one of the best-selling acts in history. In 2002, Q magazine named Guns N' Roses in its list of the 50 bands to see before you die. Maybe I should check out that list and start working my way down it. The television network VH1 ranked Guns N' Roses 9th in its 100 Greatest Artists of Hard Rock special, and also 32nd on its 100 Greatest Artists of All Time. In 2004, Rolling Stone ranked Guns N' Roses number 92 on its list of the 100 Greatest Artists of All Time. November Rain was written by the band's lead vocalist Axl Rose. Actually, I guess I must have read some of you commenting about Axl Rose in the comments, because somehow that name sounds vaguely familiar. And was released in February 1992 as the third single from their third studio album. Well, hold on, let me back up. So Rose is a person. Have I just insulted one of the greatest vocalists of all time since many, what did it say? Many various publications rank him as one of the best vocalists? Well, if he's still alive, my apologies.
That's how it went with Freddie Mercury.
Right. I guess he's in good company. November Rain was written by the band's lead vocalist Axl Rose and was released in February 1992 as the third single from their third studio album, Use Your Illusion. The song peaked at number 3 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and was the longest song to enter the top 10 of the chart at the time of its release. Currently, it is the 4th longest song to enter the Hot 100 chart. It was the longest song ever to reach the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100 until November 2021, when surpassed by Taylor Swift's extended re-recording of All Too Well. Okay, well, this sounds like a rather iconic piece of music. I ought to not waste any more time and dig right in. Sounds like November Rain. piano orchestra. Well, for a band that has such a, as I said, evocative name, I guess this fits right in. First of all, the title, November Rain, had me thinking of kind of a cold November rain. I can picture it, I can feel it, I can imagine it. And then the way it started with an actual sound of a rainstorm and the wind and everything. It's really setting us up with a particular mood and image. And then with the orchestra and the piano, there's this sort of melancholy, subdued color tones. It's an incredibly comforting mood. It makes me feel like, well, if there's a rainy November day, my first thought when I wake up in the morning is, wouldn't it be lovely to just lounge around all day, stay cozy, read a book, take a nap, and just indulge in the mood? Because there's something about a dull gray sky with wind and rain beating at the window panes and brown leaves being tossed around and falling, the last ones falling from the trees. For me, it's a certain mood that, I don't know, there's just something about it that I love. And the opening introduction, it had that sort of feel of, it's cozy, there's a storm out there somewhere, but it's not tearing us to pieces or anything like that. It's just this melancholy, subdued, late autumn feel. And it's very nice. It also surprised me a bit because in the introductory material that I read, it was talking about metal and was it metal and hard rock, punk rock, blues rock, heavy metal. I didn't expect such a gentle opening and almost classical in style. Easy listening classical. The flute entering, a nice touch, really enjoyable. Anyway, I'll stop talking. Let's see what comes now with the verse. And Axl Rose's famous voice.
Darling, when I
so interesting the way the instrumentation has this recurring descending pattern. Bum, 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 bum. Let's see if I can back up a little bit and find some of this. This is a massive score, so I'm scrolling through pages and pages of music. But if I back up a little bit, there were some things that I enjoyed noticing. The violins, this little violin figure. I'll start right about here and I'll mark it so you can see what I'm looking at. And this is in a sort of interlude between the first and second verse. So we know where we are here. I picked out this spot on the music because it's easy to see. But this is a figure that I hear recurring several times. And it's kind of, the vocal line isn't copying it, but the vocal line has some similarities to what's happening here. So obviously the different instrumental parts are being put together in a way that really complements the voice and supports the voice. And I haven't talked about the voice yet because I'm listening, and I guess I'll talk more about that later on in the music. But let's just look at this little figure here so we can prime our ears to notice it as we continue through and see. I have no idea. Does it happen all the way through the music, or is it just in this first few verses, or we'll see. But it jumped out at me. Actually, I guess I want to start with the guitar part because it complements the strings so well and they work so well together, and they both demonstrate this descending pattern which is coming out to me as a feature in this music. So here's the guitar. Actually, I should mark it on the page as well. This is the guitar part I'm looking at here. And there's this nice pattern. It's pretty, isn't it? It has so much potential, and not just potential, but within that simple little line, it's just a descending line. A nice rhythmic sequence, a nice harmonic sequence, nice melodic sequence, and in this sort of orchestral background support setting that this music is giving the voice, it's really lovely. And now here's what the strings are doing. Now notice that there's this descending figure, but that descending figure then is raised up to the next step. So we're both moving up and down at the same time. And we step up even higher. And then we start to move down. Probably this comes next. Yeah, that's what comes next. So it would go something like this. And that stacked with, actually it sits descending. Well, notice this. This figure is moving upwards while the pitches are moving down. And when we have those kinds of combinations, a descent, which includes within it an ascent, then it gives a beautiful balance to the musical construct and also provides a lot of material which can then be expanded upon, developed if we wish, or simply sitting as it is incredibly satisfying to hear. It's kind of like playing a sequence of descending arpeggios, but arpeggiating ascending. Bum, 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 and moving down the pitches while the arpeggios are climbing. It's a simple figure, but it adds a level of, we could say, complexity. It gives our ears two different things to feel, even if we're not consciously aware of what's happening. It's the difference between a pencil sketch with no shading and maybe we could say a pencil sketch with shading, or perhaps with color. Somehow there's more than just the flat two-dimensional view. We start to feel three-dimensional about it because of all these different things that are happening, even if they're simple. Anyway, let's go back to the music, and I'm going to continue listening. If you want to love me, then darling, don't refrain. This descending pattern, although it's not a pure descent in the sense that there's nothing else happening. If you want to love me, there's rise and fall, then darling, don't refrain. Still rise and fall, but ending lower. And did you notice what the orchestra was doing behind it? That's rising. Interesting guitar sound in there. I'm going to pause here before the solo gets going because I want to talk about that so far. I guess I would put this in the ballad category. I guess that answers my question. Is this a power ballad? It kind of sounds like that. It has this really melodic, soothing quality. And so, as a ballad, it's very pleasant and nice to listen to. I'm listening to his voice, and, well, clearly I can't judge based on one song, but it has a very unique quality to my ears. There's his style of singing, the way he uses his voice. I guess I need more time and more exposure to really appreciate all that he has to offer with it. But as a classical musician, somebody who comes from the background of a different type of vocal use, whether it's choral or solo, we could say not just opera, but more song style. That doesn't make sense because this is a song. What could I say instead? Well, okay, let's say leader, because that's a particular subgenre within classical music. Now, coming from this kind of background, a lot of the emphasis and desirability in a voice is a desire for what we would call a purity of sound, a resonance, a voice that carries and has a clear, smooth riding pitch. And so, as I have been on this journey, listening to all kinds of voices, some I didn't like, some I have loved, this one is of the style that is not at all from my background. It has this sort of raspiness to it, this sort of roughness to it. And yet, in spite of that, I don't find it unpleasant as I have found some of the voices that I've heard. That kind of raspiness, I guess, it's hard to do right. It's hard to get it, it's hard to be able to do it in a way that doesn't just sound like you don't know how to sing. Clearly, Axl Rose is able to express through this voice in a way that is appealing. It has its own kind of appeal. It's kind of like the difference between, let's say, a saxophone and a clarinet. The saxophone is a little bit, well, that's a bit bluesy, right? It has that bluesy roughness to it. This is not a bluesy roughness, but still it's a roughness. And what I'm trying to say is, I'm looking forward to exploring his voice more. But even here in this song, as I'm just getting a taste of his voice and his singing style, I don't find it unpleasant. In fact, I kind of enjoy it. Although I can't say that I'm really in love with it yet. But I am going to be keeping my ears tuned to his voice, not only in this song, but whenever the next Guns N' Roses comes, because I'm sure there will be more Guns N' Roses. I will keep listening, and I'm sure that over time, I will be able to have more something substantive to say about his voice. But for now, that's just my first impressions and how my experience is in this first listen. I'm going to pause there too because I don't want to forget what I have to say about that section as a guitar solo. I enjoyed the guitar part, but I also enjoyed the way the other instruments interacted with the guitar part. There was another guitar underneath it, behind it, and I liked the interplay happening there. It was bordering on what we might call contrapuntal, meaning separate voices doing their own thing and working kind of against and with each other at the same time. The solo guitar part was kind of simple in its formulation. It had a lot of long notes, and then it had a few little fingery passages running down. But having that other guitar behind it really supported it as a solo voice. And I'm going to say it is a voice because when I hear something that really sings, I can't help but say it's a voice. And it's very much like the way the orchestral parts here are supporting Axl Rose's voice. And now, I don't know if I read who the guitarist was.
It's Slash. You have to see Slash.
Okay.
Because he's always with this very curly hair on his face.
I see.
With a hat in a Jobin style.
Okay.
And a cigarette in his mouth. Always, that's Slash. Everywhere. Okay. Even live.
So anyway, this guitar solo here, it doesn't strike me as being highly virtuosic, and yet it's very well suited. And it's as if Slash is now taking the lead with a vocal part in his instrument, and it's singing. And just as the orchestra is supporting Axl Rose's voice, so then the other guitar behind Slash, behind his solo part, is supporting his part. And it makes sense to have these long sustained notes in a ballad style. You need that duration, that length, that legato line to really, really pull us into the mood. And I am appreciating and enjoying this November rain mood that is being set. And I am even noticing it in the lyrics. This melancholy, reflective mood is really what I have to call it. And it's an important thing not to let them become dull, let them become too heavy, too slow. And so we need that activity behind to keep it progressing. Very nice. Some that was a bit unexpected. Nice to have that chorus sound behind his voice as well.
When there's no one left to blame. So never mind the darkness, we still can find a way. Nothing lasts forever, even cold November rain.
Interesting. What? Interesting.
And that is Guns N' Roses.
Oh, that caught me by surprise at the end there. Interesting. I thought that I kind of had an idea of the shape of it, and just as it felt like it was coming to a conclusion, there was this whole different ending and everything changed. I was just done talking about the lyrical qualities, and then his voice takes on this different, don't you need somebody? And it becomes more of an ostinato, a percussion, not percussion, but something down there in the percussion world. And in the rhythm world, let's put it that way, in the rhythm world. And then the guitar is doing the singing, and the way the piano ends up just up and down, and the orchestra, it's like everything was turned on its head. But it worked incredibly well, and it was nice.
Because she died. And it's a funeral.
Oh, really? Well, I've hardly paid attention to the lyrics enough to really get what's going on here.
It's not really there. It's in the video clip.
Ah, okay. Well, I have to sit down and pay attention to these lyrics too, but interesting shift and change at the end, and it still ended feeling like November rain. In fact, as I was listening to this last portion, I was thinking, okay, it's kind of turned on its head, but it hasn't really changed the overall mood that much. It's different, but still kind of in the same category. And it was kind of like, okay, his voice is the wind beating at the windows, the rain beating at the windows, the wind tossing the branches around. Don't you need somebody? Everybody's got to have somebody, whatever it is. You're not the only one. And then the piano running up and down, up and down, up and down. Really colorful and evocative, and well, it caught my attention. Here's the thing about this song. Right, this is my first listen. Not only is it my first listen, it's my first exposure to the band. Now, it's a 10-minute, almost 10-minute song, right? 9 minutes and some seconds. It's long. And, well, there's something like Bohemian Rhapsody, which is kind of long, right? But this is almost twice as long, and it didn't lose me along the way. I feel like I have a pretty good attention span and focus for music. Even if I don't love it, even if I don't feel connected to it, I am able to kind of power through and make my way to the end because I have the skill set for that. But this one, it held my attention and it kept me engaged without any effort or struggle on my part, without me having to make sure that I don't check out. And it's not a highly sophisticated song. It's not. It's fairly simple, and but it's interesting, and it had some unique things along the way that, at least unique to me, that caught me and held me. One of them was the way, well, the first guitar solo. I was like, okay, that's the guitar solo. Okay, let's move on. But hardly much time passed, and suddenly we were in another guitar solo. And the two so close together in this long song, it was more like, well, there were adjustments and adaptations made to what I have become accustomed to being the standard formal shape of a rock song. And at the same time, it wasn't jarring. It didn't make me uncomfortable. I didn't get tired of shifting, changing, adjusting. It simply carried me so smoothly from one to the next and fed me into what's coming next in a way that was effortless. And the truth is, it held my attention to the end. In fact, it got me more and more attentive along the way, which is really quite impressive. And it is a nice song. It sounded nice. I enjoyed the whole experience, even though I've never heard them before. And I guess I can see why it managed to become such a top song in spite of its length, or perhaps even because of its length. It's different, and at the same time, it's satisfying. It's really nice that way.
Should we make a special Guns N' Roses weekend sometime?
Maybe we should. Because I'm curious after this one. I'm thinking I should check out some more Guns N' Roses in the not too distant future. So I have the feeling that we'll probably meet them again here sometime soon. I'll see you next time.